Hey, it's Eric Arnold here in the Sports Barn, Friday, January 27th, and we're here to give you the NFC and AFC Championship game picks. Before we get into that, important video up at the Politics Barn, all one word, at Rumble. I'm putting the link in the comments here. Make sure you go to that. It involves Jordan Tristan Walker, an executive at Pfizer who admits on videotape that Pfizer is monkeying around with the COVID virus to create mutations, assumingly to make more money off of us. Very important admission by the Pfizer executive, which is actively being censored by YouTube and Google. So we can't talk about that here. We'll go to Rumble and talk about it where we can speak like adults, not here on CensorTube. So very important video that you probably know nothing about. So make sure you go to Politics Barn, all one word, and I'm going to talk about Mr. Walker, the scumbag. All right, now here we have the Chiefs Bengals AFC Championship game. Games in Kansas City. Chiefs are a 1.5 point favorite at this point. The Lions bounce back and forth as the health of super quarterback Patrick Mahomes in doubt. My assessment on his health, he's going to be limited. I think he's going to be limited. You know, the guy will be able to play quarterback. There's nothing wrong with his arm. He will be able to throw the ball. I think he'll probably be able to make most of the throws he normally makes. He's not going to be able to run a lot, though. I do not think he's going to be able to just tear down the field for 40 yards running a 4-4. So, advantage Bengals right there. You know, just he's not going to be able to escape the rush the way he normally would. It's going to be a negative. I don't see any way in the world this makes him better. And so it will affect him. I'm pretty comfortable in saying that. You know, as an old person who has experience in A, watching football, B, more importantly, with injuries. They affect you. If you're hurt, you're just not as good. So, advantage Chiefs there. I'm trying to figure, I've gone through both these games. I've picked all four teams, and I've changed my mind half a dozen times. So finally, this is what I've come down with. We're going to just try to keep it simple and just try to put aside the noise and just try to use the simplistic method of what is best. So we're looking for who's got the best quarterback, who's got the best coach, who's got the best organization. That's kind of the three building blocks of handicapping NFL football. Quarterback, which quarterback would you like to have right now? Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow? Now remember, Mahomes is hurt, so that's got to factor into it. I'll take Burrow. You know, I'm going to take a healthy Burrow over an injured Mahomes. Let's also remember this. The Bengals have beaten the Chiefs 3 straight times. They beat them last year in this exact same scenario at Kansas City with the AFC title on the line, and they won. So, you know, I guess everybody thinks, well, that was a fluke. That didn't count. The Bengals have beaten these guys every which way you want to beat them. They've beaten them by outgaining them in yardage. They've beaten them by losing the yardage battle, but winning the turnover battle. They've beaten them at home. They've beaten them in Kansas City. They've beaten them 3 times. And here we go again. And the Bengals are still underdogs? I don't know. I mean, now, you can't always just assume what happened yesterday is going to happen tomorrow. Maybe this is the game where the Chiefs get their vengeance, that the Chiefs are tired of losing to the Bengals and they're going to play their best game. I don't know. The line doesn't say that to me. I mean, if the Bengals were say 4-point favorites, then that might say to me, hey, now the Chiefs are feeling disrespected and they're ready to show that they're still a good football team too. Line doesn't say that. The Chiefs are expected to win. I'm not sure why, but they are. Coach, you got Zach Taylor, who he's a young guy, energetic guy. He's done pretty much nothing but win. Here he is in his third year as an NFL coach. He's already been to a Super Bowl and came that close to winning it, lost. But he's back now in his second consecutive AFC Championship game. And then you have the venerable Andy Reid, who's been everywhere. He's done that. Not a problem with Andy. I mean, it depends how you want to look at it. You know, you've got the excellence of Andy, probably one of the highest winning percentages in NFL history. Got to be up there in total wins as an NFL coach. He's developed Hall of Fame quarterback Patrick Mahomes and Hall of Very Good, let's put it that way, the Hall of Very Good quarterback Donovan McNabb. He's, I don't know how many different big games he's been in, but if you're an Andy expert, and I style myself as an Andy expert, as this guy was in Philadelphia for 13 years, Andy often loses the big game. You know, he's an expert in getting there. But once he gets there, he often loses. And he often loses not as a 7-point underdog. He often loses as a favorite, where you go, how did we lose that game? How did we lose that game? How did we lose the 0-2 NFC Championship game? We were better than the damn Buccaneers, and we should have gone to the Super Bowl, and we should have beat the Raiders and been the champion, but we didn't. Why? Andy couldn't get it done. Why did we lose the 0-3 championship game to the Panthers? Again, we were better than that team, and we lost. Andy lost the Super Bowl to the Patriots in 2004. I'll say there, you give them a pass because they were better than the Eagles, that Eagles team. But you get the gist. Andy often gets there. He lost last year as a touchdown favorite? Maybe a little more to the Bengals, who didn't have an offensive line, and he still lost. So I think coach-wise, we got to go with Zach Taylor here. He's younger. He's more energetic. He seems to have it over Andy right now. And Andy, if you want to look at it harshly with Reid, he's really just kind of one step above Marty Schottenheimer. In that Marty did everything Andy did, except he never won anything. Andy at least has one Super Bowl. But he wins 2 more games then, though. Now suddenly he's into rarefied territory, where you can go ahead and say, okay, now he's Tom Landry. Tom Landry lost a lot of big games. John Madden lost a lot of big games. So, yeah, that's where you kind of like, well, where do we put Reid? Is he a great coach? Is he a very good coach? Is he better than John Madden? John Madden lost, I don't know how many big games to the Steelers before he finally beat them and won his one Super Bowl. He only won one Super Bowl, John Madden did. Tom Landry lost countless big games. But finally, he did manage to be there enough times that he won 2 Super Bowls. And now, of course, he's the venerable Tom Landry. But, he lost a ton of big games. So, Andy Reid just needs to win 2 more games this year, and now he's in rarefied air. So, first ballot Hall of Famer. But nevertheless, in a game like this, we're taking Zach Taylor. That's where we're at with that. Organizational-wise, Chiefs, Bengals, I think that's a wash. I like the Bengals' history over the Chiefs. Another reason I like the Bengals, I think the Chiefs are going to self-destruct on Sunday. I think Mahomes, clearly has an ego. You know, if you watch that whole injury unfold in the playoff game against Jacksonville, Mahomes is just, he's clearly embraced the fact that he's the best quarterback, injured or not, in that Reed wanted this guy to go in and get examined to make sure he didn't have a broken leg, to make sure it wasn't further hurt than it appeared. And Mahomes absolutely threw a fit, which, you know, that's no good. Know your role, Patrick. You're not the coach. You want to be the coach, call all your own plays and all that. I guess it could be done. It's probably last time that happened might be the 30s. But you're not the coach. So Reed taking a perfectly reasonable stance of, hey, you know, we're big favorites in this game against Jacksonville, and we'll probably beat them even with Chad Henne. Let's just make sure you're not more hurt than it appears. And Patrick Mahomes acted like a 3-year-old. So what I think is going to happen Sunday is Mahomes is going to try to do everything he normally does, and he won't be able to do it. He's not going to be able to rip off a 30-yard run. He's not going to be able to run a 4.40. The Chiefs' defensive players are going to have a much easier time tracking this guy down, keeping him in the pocket, not allowing him to bust containment for easy first downs. I think that's going to be a factor. Do I expect him to make the throws? Yeah. He's probably going to be able to make all the throws he normally makes. Little sidearm, underhand, over the top, you know, whatever magician throws he normally makes. He'll probably still make those. He's just not going to be able to evade the pass rush as well. Will the Chiefs alter their game plan to try to compensate for this? No, I don't think they will. Patrick Mahomes is not going to say, okay, now maybe we ought to run the ball a little more. And believe it or not, Chiefs do have a good running game, especially with this rookie Pacheco, who's better than anyone else they had on the roster. He's coming into his own. This guy's good. Their offensive line is good. They can run the ball. But I don't think Mahomes is going to want to. I don't think he's going to let them. He's going to demand to throw the ball. If there seems to be a heavy influx of running plays coming in from the sidelines, Mahomes isn't going to put up with that. And I don't think there will, just because Mahomes is going to demand that he throw the ball, and that's exactly what Andy Reid wants to do. So it's going to be throw, lose for the Chiefs. That's kind of where I feel that's going to be. So after all that, we're looking at the Bengals here. They've won 3 in a row against Kansas City. They're getting points. I think they're still feeling disrespected, so I'm going to set aside the revenge factor for Kansas City. I think you're looking at the Bengals here again. I think it might just be as simple as the Bengals are the better team, and that's what we're looking for. So we're taking the Bengals plus the 1.5. Now, the big one, for at least for us fans here in Philadelphia, Niners, Eagles. My brother was over last night. He calls it 27-16 Eagles. He's supremely confident. He's pretty much always supremely confident. I think the last time he picked the Eagles to lose was, I believe, 1985. So, you have that. Well, let's do it again here. Quarterback, coach, organization. Quarterback, this is where everyone says the Eagles have this huge advantage. I'm not sure they do. That Jalen Hurts has more NFL experience than Brock Purdy. They're the same age. They're both 23. They're the same age. I'm not sure where the discrepancy came, if Hurts went through college faster, or Purdy started late in college, or Hurts came out early. But whatever reason, Hurts has played more NFL games. He's played 4 games, I believe, in 2020. Started all last year and lost a playoff game. He started all of this year and has the best record in football. So Hurts is lauded as a vastly superior quarterback who's possibly in the mix for MVP, whereas Brock Purdy was barely drafted at all at the conclusion of the 2021 college season. He played 4 years at Iowa State, concluding his career in 2021, and now has mostly sat the bench the first half of this year, and now he's played the last, 10 games or so. He's won every game. This guy does not know defeat. I don't know. Everybody says he's a rookie. He's a bad rookie. I read something on his Wikipedia page. Take this with a grain of salt, if you will, that had he been drafted now, with hindsight being 2020, of course, he'd be a second or third round pick. In that the guy, whoever was quoted, unnamed executive said, well, we downgraded him because of mobility, but for whatever reason, this guy seems to be just as mobile in the NFL as he was in college. And that was his word escapes me. That was the thing he did not do well. So his deficiency. But it appears he's worked on that and become not bad at that. So with all his other things he does well, like read defenses, go through his progressions quickly, get the ball out, all things that are valuable in the NFL. This guy says he'd be a second or third round quarterback. Jalen Hurts was picked in the second round. So I think the quarterback battle is going to be relatively even. I do not think that Brock Purdy is going to blow sky high Sunday and just throw the ball into the ground, throw it to the sideline, worse yet, throw it to the Eagles. I don't think any of that's happening. Coach-wise, difficult. Nick Sirianni, second year. He had a good year his first year. He took a 4-11 team and took them to the playoffs, 9-7. Huge turnaround. The guy knows how to win. He's got a winning background. He comes from one of those football factories, one of those Division III football factories, Mount Union, which does nothing but win. So he knows how to win. He knows what a winning culture is. He's brought that here to Philadelphia. He's a good coach. He has good assistants. Whereas Kyle Shanahan, he's good too. Now, he's had some very high-profile failures that have stained his record. He's the offensive coordinator from the Falcons when they had a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, and he could not win the game. You got to give him credit for getting up 28-3, but you got to win that game. And if you don't, that follows you forever. And he lost that game. He lost it. The Bengals or the Patriots didn't take it from him. He gave it to him. He gave it to him by being foolish. So I'm sure he regrets it every day, probably relives it every day, but huge failure. Lost the 20 Super Bowl, or whatever, Super Bowl numbered whatever, to the Kansas City Chiefs. He had them beat. He had them down in the fourth quarter. He's having success running the ball, and then all of a sudden he gets away from it, and Mahomes pulls off a miracle, third and 17, throw down the field, and he gets beat. So 2 horrifying failures in the Super Bowl. But that's the Super Bowl. We ain't in the Super Bowl. We're in the championship game. So I'm going to say the quarterbacks between Purdy, Hurts, I'm going to say that's pretty even. Sirianni, Shanahan, coaching battle, pretty even. The line here in this game is 2.5. The Eagles are 2.5-point favorites. 2.5-point favorites. Now it comes down to organization, and this is where I'm coming out with the 49ers are the pick. I have tried so hard to see this as an Eagles win, but I cannot get over this feeling of doom that I've had all week. The Eagles never beat the 49ers, ever. I went back and I watched the 49er-Eagle game. They played each other in September in 2021. Second game of the year, they played each other. Now, the 49ers were coming off a 6-10 season. The Eagles were coming off a 4-11-1 season. So neither team had a good year the prior year. But that was the year the 49ers went to the NFC Championship game and lost to the Rams. That was last year. The Eagles got knocked off in the wild card round. And now the Eagles are much better than the team they put on the field in week 2 of 21. But I watched this game, and the Niners won, of course. They won 17-11. My thought was, when I watched it, the Eagles should have won that game. They absolutely should have won that game. They outgained the 49ers. They had ridiculous, stupid plays happen at critical moments that killed them. And they just lost. So Eagle fan Eric wants to look at that and go, we're going to win this game. We're better than they are. We're better than when we played them before. We're going to win. We're just better. And everybody here in Philadelphia thinks the Eagles are going to win. There's nobody in town here that thinks the 49ers have a chance. No one. I'm looking at it like, of course they lost. Of course they lost. That's what the Eagles do when they face the 49ers. They find ways to lose. They always find ways to lose to the 49ers when the money's on the table. And that's what's going to happen Sunday. I just have that it's a hunch. I'd call it whatever. Maybe it's the hunch that Bengal fans have when they play the Steelers. It's like, well, here we go again. We're so much better than they are, and we'll find a way to lose. So that's kind of how I feel. I think the 49ers are on just a roll right now. You're getting points. You're getting points with a team that's won, 10, 11 straight games? I think the teams are pretty even. The Eagles are good. In fact, this might be the best Eagles team we've ever had. I don't know. I just have this feeling that the Eagles, I think, might be taking this game a little lightly. You should have heard that press conference after the Eagles flattened the Giants last weekend. Nick Sirianni gave off the vibe of a man who seriously thinks he's done something. And it was a little disquieting. I thought to myself, oh wow, he just referred to Jalen Hurts in the same sentence as Michael Jordan. And Mark said, that doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. He explained that. He explained that? When you're explaining shit, you're losing. So he explained that. I don't give a shit. He did it. Jalen Hurts I could say him in the same sentence as Michael Jordan? Come on now. That tells me that you're thinking you guys are better than you are. That's what that feels like to me. So I just got a vibe like the Eagles, this has happened before in this town. 2002, nobody thought the Eagles could lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're coming in. It's the last game ever in Veterans Stadium, the dump, but it was our dump. And we're unbeatable in this place. We're mad, we're loud, we're angry, it's cold. The Buccaneers can't win in cold weather. Everyone knows that. There's no way they can win. They've never won. Well, they did win. It was horrifying. It was absolutely horrifying, and it happened. And that's the vibe I'm getting on Sunday. That this is going to be ugly, and I don't think it's coming out the way the Eagles want it, the way I want it. So we're going to take the 49ers. Maybe I'll get all of it. Somehow I'll get it all. The Eagles are 2.5-point favorites. How about this? Eagles 21, 49ers 20. I could go for that. I don't think that'll happen. I think the 49ers are going to win the game. These Super Bowls have a way of rhyming. You ever heard that saying? History doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme. The Bengals 49ers. It happened once before in the Super Bowl. It happened twice before in the Super Bowl. So, it just feels like that's a natural. Cincinnati, Philadelphia, the Super Bowl no one wants to see except people in, say, Huntington and Berks County and Philadelphia. Yeah. We're going to say 49ers. We're going to play the Bengals in Super Bowl 57. That's what we're looking at. All right, great. I'm Eric Arnold. Thanks for being here. Make sure you check out the video up at the PoliticsBarn, all one word, about Pfizer. Very important. All right, we'll talk again. Signing off.